What's good, ladies and gents? Welcome back to MKO Boxing, aka MKO Pugilism, where we talk all things box. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, follow on TikTok, all that good stuff. So let's get into this one. So last night, I'll just talk about the action that took place, the main event between Dave Allen, the beloved Dave Allen, the guy that everybody likes over here in England, versus the giant from Russia, Arslinbek Makhmudov. And this is somewhat of a crossroads fight, as you have both guys really. A win over either one would catapult them into a good position, possible fight against some of these top names, a Jagbar, Joshua, somebody like that. So this was one of those fights where it's crossroads, and for the winner, it's a good opportunity for them to get into the mix and get into, sort of the, I would say, I think Makhmudov's already was around top 20. So this is a chance to sort of get his name out there. And, same thing for Dave Allen. And unfortunately for Dave Allen, he ended up losing this fight. He lost it very convincingly and very, very widely on points. Going into this fight, I kind of thought that Dave Allen had enough about him to win this fight, because I'd seen Makhmudov sort of broken down before, and he's one of those guys that, yes, he's a very formidable, very powerful, big, strong, but I just thought the way that Makhmudov is very slow. I thought Dave Allen would probably be able to take advantage of that, of the fact that he is so slow, and just sort of work on him, work away at his body, and then eventually to try and take him out of there. But that is definitely not what happened. I mean, the story of this fight was essentially Dave Allen doing one thing right with his tactics, which is walking Makhmudov down, making, sort of following him around, getting up close and personal. But where the mistakes were made, at least in my opinion, it was in coming forward. Dave Allen wasn't really throwing any shots as he was coming forward. So whereas I always think about when, even if you're a come forward fighter, you need to kind of jab your way in. You need to sort of do something on your way into. You need to be throwing as you're coming in, or even if you're not throwing a jab or throwing a shot, you need to be kind of bobbing and weaving as you're coming in. You can't just sort of walk in straight lines. And so what was happening with Dave Allen was that he was just walking after Makhmudov in straight lines. He was, he was taking shots. Fair enough. He did have a very high guard. So some of the shots Makhmudov threw were arm punches, and they were just landing on the gloves. But then what you'd have is, out of, let's say, 4 of them, maybe three of them miss. One of them gets through. But after that, Dave Allen wasn't really doing much work. So the problem he had was that he was stalking and following Makhmudov, but then not letting his hands go. And at the same time, Makhmudov was the one sort of working away, throwing straight punches. And okay, maybe he landed half of what he threw, but then Dave Allen was landing 0. And by the time Dave Allen got up close to Makhmudov, a lot of the time it was just too late, because Makhmudov was like smothering him. He would hold him sometimes, or it would be a case of Dave Allen gets a couple of hooks to the body and then he gets smothered again. And it's like by the time he'd actually got into punching range to hit Makhmudov, he's had to take 4 or 5 on the gloves or whatever on the way in, and then he's not offering any offense on the way in. So he's pretty much just sort of getting hit way too much in this fight. And there was no creativity with his offense. The shots he was trying to hit Makhmudov with were wild shots, were wide shots. There was nothing sort of straight down the middle. I mean, he did have success at points. There were some moments where he was able to wobble Makhmudov, and where he was able to sort of make Makhmudov lose his balance. The uppercut was a good shot for Dave Allen. That had he sort of worked on that shot a bit more, then that could have made a difference. But for the most part, he had half of his certain part of his tactic, as in coming forward, that was right, but the rest of his tactics were horrible because he was just walking in. He was just giving Makhmudov nothing really to think about on the way in. No jab on the way in. There was no jab, no thought going into what he was doing. It was just, I'm going to walk forward and then hope to get close enough and then wail away. But it's like, by the time you get close enough, there's, you're tied up and you've got to start again, and then you get hit again. And it was just a similar pattern. I think in terms of rounds, you could only probably give Dave Allen about maybe 2 rounds out of the 12 there, and that's it really. And I think that basically the points deductions are what helped him, because the referee took a few points off Makhmudov for holding, and to be fair, yes, he was holding, but you could have just given him a warning or whatever, and that probably would have been fine. I don't know that he needed to take points off Makhmudov twice. I mean, I don't know whether that was necessary, but it's one of those fights where it was, for me as a fan, I wanted Dave Allen to win, and I thought, and I still kind of think he could have. It was just a case of he needed to make those little adjustments, a bit of head movement as you're coming in, jabbing your way in, and just simply throwing more punches. Just a simple thing like that, throwing more punches and sort of giving Makhmudov things to think about, trying to make Makhmudov miss on your way in. But because he was such a stationary target and it was all in straight lines, what Dave Allen did was very predictable. Now, what Makhmudov done was very predictable too, but although what he did was predictable, it was working, because Dave Allen come in straight lines, Makhmudov punched in straight lines, and just completely outboxed him. So yeah, a little bit disappointing there from Dave Allen, because I think he could have done better than what he did. But at the same time, credit to Makhmudov for just outboxing him, coming over to hostile territory here in England, where the whole crowd was against him, and to do that and pull out a win, that's good, that's impressive. But yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. I think for Dave Allen, he definitely could have done better, but there you go, what happened. So let me know your thoughts, and until next time, it's MKO Boxing, over and out.